Good afternoon, and welcome to my channel. Welcome to the Love Worthy channel. And I want to continue the, I want to continue the first video from the first video of the man behind the mask. Um, I want to talk about two particular topics, but it involves one subject. It's the subject is the spirit or spiritualism. And that's the continuation of what we're talking about, the man behind the mask. Behind every person, there's driven, or we would say ambition, but there's actually is a force. Either it's going to be of light or it's going to be of dark. Either it's going to be of good or it's going to be of evil. And for biblical references, we would say either it's going to be of love or it's going to be of fear. Now, love and fear cannot coexist because love has no incompletions, no imperfections, and is definitely pure. Fear, on the other hand, has torment. So it has incompletions, it has imperfections, and is definitely unpure. So, with that being said, you have the two forces of the spiritual world, or the spiritual realm of love, or I say of fear and of love. So, and if it's of love, then it's of faith. If it's of fear, then it's of iniquity. So, okay, which is disobedience. All right. With that being said, I want to talk about, you know, unfortunately, we deal with the life or the we live in a society that ignorance is bliss, and we draw towards it and we pay a penalty for it. You know, the more that we know, the more informed we can be. So we try to gather ourselves in as much knowledge or much understanding or wisdom that we can get to help ourselves to live more of a peaceable life or a complete life on this earth. Now, the downfall of that is the knowledge that we gather, the information that we incorporate ourselves with, and we learn from, we grow from, we build from, we produce from, we speak from, we live in that reality of. Let's say, okay, if I were to use, okay, let's say God is love, love is God. Say God is love, love is God, and everything that exists in God is of love. It's of fulfillment. It's pure. It's whole. It's just. Is reverence. Is there's nothing inside of God that will leave you incomplete of anything. That's what love does. Love fulfills every aspect of existence. It there's no room for anything else with love. Love fulfills every aspect. It's equivalent to us in a natural sense of being thirsty or something and being fulfilled of whatever quenches that thirst. And when we know what it's like to have that thirst fulfilled, we feel fulfilled. We give the sense of release of a because it hits every area that's of necessity. It hit every area that needed to be quenched. So that's what love does. Love goes in every aspects of the soul, and it fulfills, it completes, it builds, it produces, it just, there's no greater than love. There's nothing greater than love. God is love, and love is God. So if that's going to be, if we're going to use a electrical source as the example, God is the electrical source. Let's say love is the electrical source. You can't plug anything to an electrical outlet. You can't put any, I would say, you can't put anything into an electrical outlet. You can't put water there. You can't put oil there. You can put different elements or different substances in there because it's not compatible. It would definitely be a rejection. It just may not accept it because it's not one of the same. Okay. So the same self thing with love. You can't put disobedience in love. You can't put arrogance in love. You can't put pride in love. You can't put fear in love. You can't put, you know, wrath in love. You can't put these things inside of love. Love is by itself. It's not broken. It's not incomplete. It's perfect. Which is to say, when we show that, when we give that to someone, we're giving them our very best. This is what fulfilling the scripture, St. John 3:16. For love so loved the world. Look at that. For God so loved the world. For love so loved the world. Love so loved itself that it gave his son to die for it. Because the world by itself was away from love. So it sacrificed himself that the world may be saved, to abide back into love. Now, I'm going to use that, and let's tie all this together from going to the subject of the face behind the mask. We have fortunately for us, we have been deceived. We have been, tricked or whatever, or conned to believe one face is actually the face that actually is, but just to find out that there's something behind that face. It could be, deception. It could be greed. It could be anything that doesn't benefit the other person. We call it the wolf in sheep's clothing. A person that appears to be one way, but actually is another way. They appear to be good, but they actually are more of harm. Okay? So, we have to decide as a soul, as a mind, will, and emotion, as our thinker, our chooser, and our filler. We have to make a decision with those if we're going to be of love or we're going to abide up under the tree of fear. If we're going to be in fear, we're going to run away from love. We're not going to be able to supply it, and we're not going to be the one to receive it. If you're in fear, you have no dealing with love. You don't want no parts of it. And if you're in love, you're not afraid to give, and you're not afraid to receive love, because you have no dealing with fear. Fear can't dwell with you. It can't. Your soul has made a decision. It is unacceptable not to receive love. It's unacceptable. So if you cannot receive love, or you cannot give love, or and if you do, and is you see that yourself, the thoughts of you're afraid to, what you're dealing with. You're not dealing with love itself. You're dealing with fear that's trying to stop you from loving or receiving love. Now, that can be an implication of why, we get such a person that presents itself in a loving way, and then they turn to be something else. Fear and love cannot coexist. If you're going to love, you got to love without fear. And if you're going to fear, you have to fear with no love. So with that being said, I'm going to talk about Jesus for a second, maybe probably longer. Jesus is all love. His spirit is all love. And those who are going to worship him are going to worship him in spirit and in truth. The truth is his love, and the spirit is his love. So he is complete. And if anyone is inside of him, they are complete too. They are full of him. There's no fear there. And the more that if love is an ocean, the more that you swim in the ocean, the more you become acclimated to the ocean of love. And reproducing love is not a problem. But the problem is, a lot of us have been in the ocean of fear. You know, the enemy came in maybe at a very early age through people that we so-called loved. I'm going to say so-called loved, the people that we loved. And he may have convinced them to give up love for the sake of fear. To take advantage. Now, if you're inside fear, you're already taken over by the enemy, the Antichrist, which is anti-love. And you're going to do things that has nothing to do with love. So this is how molestation comes in. This is how raping comes in. This is how any form of hurt, distrust, pain, suffering, abuse, any form that is in opposition to love. Love is like, okay, if love is to fulfill every area, then fear is to take away that fulfillment of every area. Fear is to leave you incomplete in every area. Love is to leave you complete in every area. So if a person is in fear, they are incomplete in every area. And they looked to pass that spirit everywhere it goes. So now you're talking about violation. That spirit is going to infiltrate that soul to strip them everything that will make them complete, which is love, which is God. And that's the mission of fear, is to strip you away from love, which is to leave you vacant, void, desolate. And of course, we learn from there. I mean, we go from there. You go without hope. You just empty. You're dead. You're left for dead. And that's the intent. Why my belief is that why fear comes in early at a young age, and why we see so many people, myself as included, you find people get stripped from love or innocence early through unfortunate, tragic, horrendous experiences, horrific. It just, and matter of fact, my prayer goes out to any person. Father, I bring forth these people, your people, I should say, before you that is and may have been suffering from the effects of any of this carnage, this unloving spirit. Father, I know that you can heal. I know you can set free. And you can create in us a new heart, which is without all that brokenness, which is without all that damage. I've seen you do it. You've done it with me. And now I want to extend that self-same measure all across the ears and the hearts who's up under the sound of my voice. If they're willing to accept I know you can transform. I know you can rebuild. I know you can you can reconstruct them anew, with showing no traces of the former man or the former heartbreak or the former pain. And Father, I say it's done by the authority of your Son inside of me. In Jesus I say. Father, with that being said, I want to say thank you for being merciful and kind unto us. For being patient and giving us the opportunity to receive your love, to receive your forgiveness. We may think in our eyes that we are of just, that we are of good, but there's no one good with, other than yourself. You're the only one that's good. Yet you made a way. If we abide in you, we can receive your good. And you can wipe away all that which is of evil within our lives. There's a lot of things that we do we haven't been able to control, because that's how it goes once we submit ourselves to iniquity. It's past us. But you can enable us to be born again. And we receive your adoption. We receive your spirit of atonement. And we ask you to come into our lives. And by you coming into our lives, you will transform us, which is the evidence that you are alive. This is my prayer for all of those who are willing to accept this, that's up under the sound of this voice. And in Jesus' name, thank you, Father. Now, going back to the face behind the mask, if we have an outlet of love, or we have a source of love, and we try to plug something in it, it will not cooperate. There will be a result of unacceptance. I can't get the word out. Unacceptance. Okay, and you will notice that immediately, hey, this doesn't belong. You would see sparks. You would see this. You would see that. You would see something that would show you or give you indication that, hey, this doesn't fit there. In the same sense that goes with us in the spirit. If we try to plug something into God that is not of Him, that doesn't correspond with Him, it would not be accepted. You won't find yourself whole. You won't find yourself fulfilled. You will still find yourself void and incomplete. But if you were to accept His Son, what His Son has done, He provided us a way to love. If you accept that, then accepting that is just asking Him to reveal Himself, or just talk to Him to establish a relationship. Remember, love is an ocean, and we don't know nothing about this ocean, for we were born into the ocean of fear. So we're learning how to adapt into a new climate. So we asking questions or communicating is of great necessity. Ask God. Or talk to Him. He knows the intents of your heart. He knows if your heart is real. He knows the sincerity of it. He knows you better than you know yourself. And the only one knows if you're truthful with your heart, other than you, is Him. So you could be truthful with God. You can just say, hey, look, I just did this. And I'm trying not to do this. But it gets the best of me. He knows the sincerity. You know the truth of your lying, or if you're, if you're embellishing the truth or not. You know as well as he does. So if you want to establish a relationship with God, and you want to get familiar to this ocean, which is of love, you have to be honest. You have to establish a relationship. You have to get familiar with the waters of this love. The water knows what it is. It's not, the water doesn't doubt itself. It doesn't say, hey, I think I'm fire. The water knows it's water. The problem with us, we don't know who we are. Because we're torn. We're torn in being in fear. We're torn in being in love. This is why we have problems throughout the world. And I'm going to go here now. And with that being said, there's a spirit of fear on the earth. This is why you don't see much love, because we are swimming in the ocean of fear. And for the most part, a lot of our hearts or our souls have committed ourselves to fear, and we abandoned love. Let's say, and this is unfortunate, a loved one have betrayed you. So that's your trust, that's your innocence, that's you kind of depended on this person to be a guide towards love, or to at least be a stem of love. And instead, they gave you something else. So now, is what we call it natural, or is natural for us to go into hiding, because we want to secure ourselves, because we don't want to experience that again. Well, actually, that's where the advantage of the sea of fear is, and we're swimming more into it. I'm willing to say what God would do is present unto you a disciple of himself, which will be led by his spirit of love. And I'm going to say this as well. When that is offered and is presented unto us, what's the first thing to come to mind is fear. What's the first thing to come to the soul in the register is fear. Because fear is about to be judged, and is giving that soul the option to choose something that it doesn't know, or to stay into hiding within fear. God has heard your prayer. Just say, like the person said, I desire love in my life. God has heard your prayer. So God will send one of his disciples unto you. They will be full of his spirit, and they will present to you love. They will present you love. You have to confront fear. How do you confront fear? If you know it's love. How do you know it's love? Because if it confronts you for being in hiding, which is the torment of fear, or the imprisonment of fear. The imprisonment of fear is torment. You know you're not loved before this. You know where you are. You know the truth about yourself. So when this appears, you know if you're confronted with where you are, or something is different. There's something different about this. Yeah, because it's not where you are. You are in bondage. You are in torment. You are in imprisonment. And what this is offering is a freedom from that. So what do you decide to do? Do you stay where you are, or which is where or you step out on faith and you go into another ocean?